You know, despite all of the noise that we're seeing right now about cold outreach being dead in the social media marketing agency space, we're still seeing anywhere from a 3 to 5% meeting book rate, which still shows us that it's still doing really well. And in fact, in some ways, it's actually thriving. So what I want to break down in today's video is what does this mean when people say that outreach is dead? And most importantly, what are we doing that's different to make sure that outreach is actually performing well, booking us anywhere from 3 to 5% meetings, 3 to 5% meeting book rate plus. These are the same strategies and systems that we're using to book anywhere from 40 to 80 meetings a month. I have students using these same things to book 3 to 5 meetings a day. And I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly how that's going around today. So if you don't know who I am, quick introduction. My name is Reece. I scaled my first agency to multiple six figures. After that, I transitioned, started coaching other agencies, and most importantly, focusing on client acquisition for agency owners. Reason for that is I'm quite nerdy, I like systems, and I'm going to break down to you logically today why cold outreach cannot die. So let's just really quickly, what even is cold outreach? Now, I made a full beginner to expert masterclass on social media marketing, client acquisition recently, so you can check that out if you would like. But in short, we use client acquisition to go out to the market and position an offer that we have to solve somebody's problems. So we go out to somebody and we say, hey, I'm looking for people that have these problems, and you find them, they put up their hand, they say, hey, that's me. And you say, great, I have this solution. Would you like it? And that's kind of how outreach works. If they say, yeah, I'm interested in getting a solution to my problem, then you say, great, let's have a call. You have a call. On the call, you get to know them a little bit more. You see if you can help them, and then you can go ahead and sell them your solution. In the most simplest form, that is what client acquisition is, and that is what outreach is. It's the first step of you going out there saying, hey, we're looking for people that have these problems. People put up their hand, they say, hey, that's me. And that's in the form of somebody responding to your cold email and saying, yeah, I'm interested. Or are you doing a cold call and you say, hey, we help people solve problem one, problem two. Do you have anything like that going on? And then they will say, yeah, I do. And that's them putting up their hand. Or, you post a video like this on social media right now, and you're watching this video, and this is kind of you putting up your hand and saying, hey, I potentially have a problem with cold outreach. So it's really all of these different ways that we're going out there, and we're firstly just getting people to say, hey, yeah, I've got the problem. Outreach is just us going to people and saying, hey, do you have this problem? And they will say yes, or they won't respond, or they will say no, or whatever. But either way, we find out. Now, when it comes to cold outreach, we have to look back a little bit to be able to tell whether or not it's dying. And what I mean by that is I have the benefit to be able to share with you today that I've been in the agency since 2017, which is quite a bit of time. And so I've seen this trajectory of just up and down, where when I first started back in 2017, believe it or not, people were doing door-to-door outreach. They were literally going into different businesses. They would walk down, their local city, and they would go section by section, and they would walk into the restaurant or to the dental practice or whatever it is, and they would say, hey, I run a social media marketing agency. This is what we do. Would you like help? All right? Whether or not that worked, I mean, but for some people it did, whatever. I never did it myself, but there was that going on. There was also a lot of cold calling back then and a little bit of cold email, not a whole lot on social media, but it was a lot of door-to-door and it was a lot of cold calling. Now that I've said that, you're probably thinking, hey, I can probably do door-to-door. And the interesting thing about this is what we see is that there's this wave going on where at the very beginning, as I said, there's a lot of door-to-door, a lot of cold calls, a lot of cold emails. For a period of time, the agency space online was very, very quiet when it came to cold calling. Right now, you can see cold calling is picking up quite a bit. And the reason for that is because people stopped doing it because it quote unquote died. Okay, so what's happening is that people will start doing something and it raises the amount of people that's doing the thing will raise to the point where people think it's dead because there's so many people doing it. So then they will stop doing it. And what happens then is this lever comes back down to this point where people realize, people that continue to do it or people that just start realize, hey, nobody's doing this anymore, so let's start doing it. And then everybody jumps back on this thing and it comes back up again. So it's just this wave of what's going on. It's really interesting to see it from this perspective. So what we see is that every so often what people will do is they will focus on one method of outreach. They will kind of like everybody will do it. And it will get to the point where everybody's doing the same thing, and so it's not effective anymore. And then it will just start dropping down. And when I just said just now that it's not effective anymore, you can still make it effective. So cold calling for us, I've got a couple clients that are doing anywhere from 3 to 5 meetings a day from cold calling, which is just ridiculous. It's great results. That's automated as well. They're not doing it themselves. They have a team. So this can work really well. Cold email as well, anyway, getting as well a 3 to 5% meeting book rate. I have seen for some niches that has dropped a little bit. 3% meeting book rate for a cold email is pretty decent. It's pretty good, definitely scalable. So the thing is, for some people it's going to work well. For others, it's not going to work well. But to say that cold outreach is dead doesn't make any sense. And the reason for that is because outreach is just a form of communication. At the foundation of what it means to be a human and why humans have succeeded and built this massive thing that we call the world in terms of like the actual tangible stuff, buildings, society, laws, governments, like all money, all of these different things, it comes from our ability to communicate. And cold outreach at its most simplest form is just communication. It's just you going out to somebody and saying, hey, we solve these problems. Do you have these problems? And if you have these problems, I might have a solution for you. That is it. That can't die because it's at the foundation of what it is to be human, is to communicate. So whether or not you're doing outreach via, there was another form that I forgot before, lumpy mail. Lumpy mail is when you're going to get a letter and you're going to put something in the letter, like some type of free gift, and you would send it out. The most memorable thing that I can remember is people would get like this kind of sounds crazy or whatever, but people would buy some shoes and they would put a shoe in the parcel and they would send it and they would say, hey, I just wanted to get my foot in the door, make some kind of slightly cringy joke. But it works because nobody else is doing that. So if we were to just give a quick, what do I think is going to happen next? I think that there's going to be some element of door-to-door that comes back. I think there's going to be some element of lumpy mail that comes back. I even heard about recently people sending postcards to people, like a little card, handwritten card, and it just introduces, could even have a QR code. You scan the QR code and it can go online to like a video. You can get really fancy with it. You can have fun. But the point is, cold outreach doesn't die. You just have to get creative in the way that you do things. And when people come to me and say, for example, hey, Reece, should I target e-com? I say, well, e-com can work. You've just got to be the better marketer. Right? If you are able to stand out more when it comes to your outreach, if you're able to be more creative, when it comes to getting client results, if you're, again, able to be more creative, if you're the better marketer, you'll stand out. You'll get good results. That's why we did very well and have done very well when it comes to e-commerce. So that's the most important thing that I want to get across to you, firstly. Now, there are a lot of agencies out there that are saying that cold email is dead. And why? It's because quite frankly, a lot of people that come into the agency space, there's been a massive influx of people coming in recently. They go online, they type how to make money online, they find out about SMMA, they buy a course, they save up their money, or they take out a loan or whatever it is to buy a 1K course or a $997 course. They buy the course, they go through this course. It doesn't really tell them too much. It just introduces them to the space. They follow the little advice that they've got. They don't get any results because they were expecting to get 10K in 90 days and they quit. You've got to appreciate and respect the agency space as a business model. You've got to understand that you haven't just entered some get-rich-quick thing. It is a business model. It's a model of doing business. You have purchased an infrastructure in the way that you can operate your business, right? You've got to lose this SMMA title, this label that we're putting on it. Because when you do that, you fall into this little box of all of these people that have gone through these courses and do a little bit of work and they don't succeed. And the reason they don't succeed is because they're expecting to hit 10K in 90 days as opposed to just committing to the process and just seeing how long it takes. So relating this to outreach now, the way that you get your outreach to work is by you go out there and you do some outreach and you track. This is one of the biggest things. When people join my one-on-one mentorship, the number one thing I ask them at the beginning is let me see all your tracking data from the past few months. And they say, and they're like, and I'm like, have you tracked your outreach? And they say no. And this is the first thing that I have to actually set up with people is systems to track your outreach. If you're not tracking, you can't tell me your outreach is not working if you don't have the data to show me that it's not working. Because a lot of the time, people say it's not working, and then we find out that they only actually sent 50 emails. And to do 50 emails and say that it's not working is quite laughable. I can't hold back that laugh because it just doesn't make any sense. It's statistically, you're not even going to be able to get results by that point. As I said at the beginning, if you've got a 3 to 5% meeting book rate, that percent is out of 100. We all know this. It's simple maths. It's simple statistics. You need to have at least a sample size of 100 to be able to determine what the percentage is of the success rate. You're not able to do that if you don't have at least 100%. That's a different note for a different story. But the point is, what we got to do is we got to get outreach out there. You do some outreach, you see if it works. If it works, you keep doing it, and you maybe change things, and you see if it works again. And if it keeps getting better, then you keep making similar changes, and you keep making it better. And that's it. If you make a change and the performance actually drops, then you will revert the change, you'll go back to what you had before, and you would test something else and see if it improves. So it's just constantly improving to find the way that it performs the best. This is called split testing when it comes to marketing, where you put two forms of outreach out there. You've got the two forms, and you've got one that is like, you call it A, the other is B, and there's a single test between the two. For example, it could be like your headline, or it could be, if you're doing cold email, you might be testing your angle, your offer, your call to action, your subject line, your data set. It could be, you could be testing a bunch of different things, right? But the point is, people say outreach is dead because, and this is going to hurt some people's emotions, because they're too lazy to actually go out there, consistently test the outreach in the first place, and stay committed to that journey to find the outreach that works. Because outreach itself could never die. It is communication. That is all outreach is. It's going out to somebody and say, hey, I have these solution. Do you have these problems? If you do, let's talk, because I can solve your problem. And that's it. That's what outreach is in the most simplest form. So one more thing that one point that I want to give you is a mistake that a lot of people make is they just go all, like the people that go all in on outreach and it's still not working. This is for you now, because I said before that a lot of people just aren't consistent. They're not committed to the journey, and they're not even doing it in the first place. But for those of you that are, for those of you that go out there, you're sending hundreds or thousands and you're testing things and it's still not performing, you've got to just Google yourself and just see if anything comes up. That's the simplest way. If you go and you Google Reece right now, you're going to see a lot of stuff. There's going to be a lot of stuff about me. And it could even be better. I could improve that even further. But the point is, if you go and do a cold call and somebody says, well, what company are you calling from? And you tell them the company, and they go and quickly Google you. They might not do it right away. They might do it after they've booked in. And you think, woo, I booked a meeting. And then they go and Google you, nothing comes up. And they were just like, who's this guy? Let me not show up. Because you could be a scammer or a spammer or whatever it may be. So, people, especially high quality business people that are actually worth speaking with and actually worth pitching, they've got a lot going on. They want to make sure that they're speaking to somebody that's reputable and actually has a reason, some value there. I heard Alex Hormozi say recently that his sharp rate is 100%, and I don't disbelieve that. I think that's 100% accurate, because anybody who would want to skip out a call on Alex Hormozi's team, like, I can't think of a single person that would do that, right? My point is, they've delivered so much value to the market that that you'll probably learn something from that call. And even if you don't, there is the law of reciprocity going on, where you kind of want to take the call anyway and kind of see what's going on, right? They could be trying to sell you something. It doesn't matter. People will show up to the call because they know there's value there. So the point that I'm getting at is this quote that I say quite a bit is, never do outreach without content, and don't do content without outreach. And what I mean by that is, if you're serious about being in this agency space for a while, build a brand. Build a brand around it. At the beginning, deal with the fact that it's going to be you. You're going to be the face of the brand. Right now, it's me. Eventually, I'm always going to have my personal brand. I've committed that I'm going to have that at least for the next couple decades. But it will get to a point where I will slowly start introducing my business into it, and then the business itself becomes the face, like the logo, the branding, whatever. That will become the face of the brand. But right now, it's me. And I accept that. I'm happy with that. I like that. I like producing the content. At some point, I will offload that, and I will be able to do so. Alex Hormozi is doing that as well right now, by the way. But again, a topic for another video. But the point is, create brands around yourself and create an image. Make it so when people Google your name or they Google your business name, something comes up. And that's what you got to do. And by doing that, if you do some cold outreach and somebody sees you, they will quickly Google your name. They'll see, hey, this person is actually serious. This person can help me. They may see that you've only got one review on Google and that you don't have a whole lot of content, but at least something came up. At least you seem like a real person who didn't just start yesterday and probably can't help. And lastly, let me explain the reason why this is so powerful. It's the same reason that social proof and guarantees work so well. And the reason they work so well is to increase somebody's belief that what we do is actually going to work for them. Because that's what people want. People don't just buy stuff that people say solves their problem. They buy stuff that they believe will solve their problem. It's all about the belief. So you increase the belief, not just by doing outreach, but by actually positioning yourself as somebody that can actually truly help them, showing them that you can truly help them, and then they get on the call with you, and then ultimately should be easy to sign the client from there. Okay, so if you're an agency owner yourself who's looking for a more consistent and predictable flow of qualified meetings for your agency, click the first link in the description below if you'd like to explore potentially working one-on-one with me to actually scale your agency on a guaranteed basis. Click it if you want. If not, that's totally fine. Click the subscribe button instead so you can stay in touch and keep up with these videos. If you've got a comment, you've got a question, something didn't make sense, pop it down below. Let me get that back to you. I hope this helps. I hope you can understand that outreach can never die. It is not possible. It is literally just communication. You do maybe sometimes have to get a little bit more creative with it. You do have to have a little bit of fun, especially with all of these crazy AI tools coming out where they can do cold calling for you and all funny stuff. But you want to make sure that you're going to be able to be creative and stand out among other people. And if you can do that, you will win. Okay? Hope this helps. I'll see you again in the next video.